Anyway, Masonry is engaged in her crusade against ignorance, intolerance, fanaticism, superstition, uncharitableness, and error. Okay, so that proves my claim about Masons dying intellect or superstition. And there's many things in this book that are to that effect. So, it's hard better for me to do this. You can actually tell this is actually from the book Morals and Dogma. But there's no trickery going on here. Okay, so here is the infamous quote about the Lucifer. Okay, let's start from the top. Therefore, faint not be weary in well-doing. Do not be discouraged at man's apathy, nor disgusted with their follies, nor tired of their indifference. Care not for returns and results, but see only what is there to do, and do it, leaving the results to God. Soldiers of the cross, sworn knight of justice, truth, and toleration. Good knight and true, be patient in work. The apocalypse and the sublime, Kabbalistic, and prophetic summary of all the occult figures divides its images into three septenaries, after each of which is silence in heaven. There are 7 seals to be opened, that is to say, 7 mysteries to know, and 7 difficulties to overcome, 7 trumpets to sound, and 7 cups to empty. The apocalypse is to those who receive the 19th degree. The apotheoses of that sublime faith which aspires to God alone, and despises all the pomps and works of Lucifer. Lucifer, the light bearer. Strange and mysterious name to give to the spirit of darkness. Lucifer, the son of morning. Is it he who bears the light, and with its splendors intolerable, blinds feeble, sensual, and selfish souls? Doubt it not. For tradition are full of divine revelations and inspirations, and inspiration is not of one age nor of one creed. Plato and Philo are also inspired, and so on. All right, so Masonry. This is the book Morals and Dogma by Albert Pike. Paperback is a lot cheaper than the hardcover, and I don't respect them enough to pay a lot of money for it. Well, $50 for the hardcover. So, what I see here is, okay, it says Masonry is engaged in her crusade against ignorance, intolerance, fanaticism, superstition, uncharitableness, and error. This is important, okay? This is important. This is the 15th degree, Knight of the East. All right, and this book was written. Let me show you this again. Okay, so realizing that a revision of the ritual is necessary, scholars' Reformation was to survive. Mackey encouraged Pike to revise the ritual to produce a standard ritual for use in all states in the southern jurisdiction. Revision began in 1855, and some changes after the Supreme Council endorsed Pike revision in 1861. Minor changes were made in 2 degrees in 1873 after the York Rite bodies in Missouri objected that the 29th and 30th degrees revealed secrets of the York Rite. Alright, so you see a little overlapping, okay? And so this book was prepared, okay, it says on the top right there, Morals and Dogma of the Ancient and Accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, prepared for the Supreme Council of the 33rd degree for the southern jurisdiction of the United States. So this establishes this book's authority in the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, which is probably about 20% of Freemasonry according to Masonicinfo.com. And they try to say that that this part, that leads me to this part. Hold on. What? Yes, that leads me to this part. This is the most controversial part of the entire book. Okay. There's another quote that's controversial that is said to be part of the Taxel host. It's something, some book was called like Woman and Child and Freemasonry. I'll put it in the comments. And, they say that on Wikipedia that there was a footnote that said that that is from the Taxel hoax, which is a guy who basically admitted in a newspaper that he made up stuff about Freemasonry and this Catholic Church to basically play them out. And the Catholic Church opposition to Freemasonry. So anyway, this part is very complicated. It took some thinking to truly grasp what he's truly getting at, and it's very misunderstood. And the conspiracy theorists are actually more right but they rarely explain what it means. And I think that for the most part is because they don't understand it themselves. So if you look at the right before the, about halfway into the paragraph, or the part, from the start of the paragraph, about halfway from the start to the highlighted part. The apocalypse, that sublime, Kabbalistic, and prophetic summary of the occult figures, divides its image into three septenaries, after each of which there is silence in heaven. There are 7 seals to be opened, there is to say 7 mysteries to know, and 7 difficulties to overcome, 7 trumpets to sound, and 7 cups to empty. So he's referring to Revelation, or the apocalypse, John's apocalypse. The apocalypse is, to those who receive the 19th degree, the apotheosis, or the essence, me defining that for you, of the sublime faith, which aspires to God alone and despises all the pomps, which is splendors, and works of Lucifer. Okay, so by calling it the pomps and works, he's not only assigning Lucifer power, but saying that there is something to this Lucifer guy. There's splendor to him that you should understand. And he goes on to say, Lucifer, the light bearer, strange and mysterious name to give to the spirit of darkness. Lucifer, the son of the morning, is it he who bears the light, and with its splendors intolerable blinds feeble, sensual, and selfish or selfish souls? Doubt it not. So he's saying that this guy carries the light, and its splendors are blinding these different sinners, or these people who are, have proclivities towards sin because of what's in their soul. And, Lucifer carries it, and he's kind of controlling them. And I'll come back to this later, what I'm getting at here, and, how this ties into the deeper Luciferian doctrine that is evident in Masonry. For traditions are full of divine revelations and inspiration is not of one age nor of one creed. Plato and Philo also were inspired. The Apocalypse indeed is a book as obscure, or as hidden as the Zohar, as a cult. It is written hieroglyphically with numbers and images, and the apostle often appeals to the intelligence of the initiative. And he gives an examples. Okay, so he's saying, people in secret societies such as him understand it, and it's not written for the multitudes. And if you want to pause the screen and read the rest of that, if you want to, you'll see that that's what it's saying. Now, let me prove my claim I've been making all this time about Masonry being satanic, after doing my due diligence and seeing their arguments, their counter-arguments that many Masons have made. Okay. To every Mason, wisdom or intelligence, force or strength, and harmony or fitness and beauty are the trinity of the attributes of God. So God cares about mind, harmony, body, okay? And this is in a spiritual sense, so it's pretty much connecting the mind, body, and soul scale. So when I say, the Masons who basically control our society see it the way I do on this issue, okay? To every Mason, the soul of the man is immortal. He goes on to talk about wisdom or intelligence or the mind, force or strength and harmony or fitness and beauty. So a man is not wrong from a Masonic point of view to value beauty in a woman, internal and external. Now we'll go on to right, you can do that if you want. I'm not gonna do that right now. Here we go. Also in this book, I couldn't find it. I supposedly highlighted it. So I think it's around chapter 26 somewhere. It says that Apollo conquered the python, and they pointed it out, showing that once the python head was discovered in, around the middle belt of Africa somewhere, and it was dated to 70,000 years old, that it definitively has shown that the oldest evidence of religion, which ties into Greek religion, because the python is also part of Greek religion, is in Africa. So the foundation of all this, no matter how you look at it, is in Africa, tens of thousands of years, some 65,000 years or so before the Sumerians. Okay, or at least 63,000. depending on when you start Sumer, and Gilgamesh goes back a bit and whatever. All right, but definitely over 60,000 years before the first evidence of the epic of Gilgamesh, before the evidence of the Sumerians. Now, as a civilization, or as even as a group of people. So it goes on to say, to become a chief and a leader among men, to rise to rank and power by eloquence, courage, perseverance, study, energy, activity, discouraged by no reverses, impatient of no delays, deterred by no hazards, to win wealth, to subjugate men by our intellect. Okay, now if you've been listening, you know damn well that what you're seeing is materialism. Okay, to win wealth and to subjugate men. This is what it means to be a Mason. Okay, that's what it's talking about. Let's start from the top. Life is a battle, and to fight the battle heroically and well is the great purpose of every man's existence who is worthy and fit to live it all. To stem the strong currents of adversity, to advance in despite of all obstacles, to snatch victory from the jealous grasp of fortune, to become a chief and leader among men, to rise to rank and power by eloquence, courage, perseverance, study, energy, activity, discouraged by no reverses, impatient of no delays, deterred by no hazards, to win wealth, to subjugate men by our intellect. So it is saying that this is not just what it means to be a Mason, but what every man should do. This is the scale of a man. So of course Masons plant and help each other rise to the top, because they're brothers. It's a fraternity, like any other fraternity. They're trying to help each other out and be there for each other, and Mason in distress and all that good stuff, right? And they want to. That's why I highlighted the part to win wealth or to subjugate men by our intellect. So when you couple everything together, the Luciferian doctrine is evident in Masonry. Okay, they say that Lucifer bears the light, and that let me go back to that part and wrap this up. Remember, it says it's engaged in her crusade against ignorance, intolerance, fanaticism, superstition, uncharitableness, and error. And what is intolerance? Religious intolerance, and homosexuality, intolerance of gays, So, though it doesn't say that, to be fair, but once you do your due diligence, you see that they're getting at that as well. So remember down here it says, "For traditions are full of divine revelations and inspirations, and inspiration is not of one age nor of one creed." Okay, so and that's after saying this, right? "Which aspires to God alone and despises all this pomps or splendors and works of Lucifer." So they're saying Lucifer has these splendors, and it goes on to even use the word splendor, which is a synonym for pomps, basically. And with its splendors, Lucifer bears light with its splendors, intolerable, blinds feeble, sensual, or selfish souls. So to a Mason, you have to work on your mind, body, and soul to prepare yourself to accept the pure Luciferian doctrine. Okay, and so then that explains the checkered floor. It's God and the devil that you're trying to prepare yourself to accept and understand, and to use that intellect and that knowledge of good and evil to win wealth and subjugate your fellow man. You see what I'm saying? So there is no defense that Masonry can mount against logic and critical thinking when using their own words. And this book was prepared for the Supreme Council of the 33rd degree, okay, of the Southern jurisdiction, which is about 1/5 of all Masons in America. I believe it's the Southern and some Western states or something. Anyway, so yes, are Mason Satanists? Yes, absolutely. Like I said in past videos, what do you call a man who serves two masters? What do you call a man who worships God and the devil? You call him a Satanist. What was Satan? He served God and then served the devil. What is a Mason? Read to the first part. "The apocalypse is to those who receive the 19th degree, the essence of the sublime faith which aspires to God alone." He's saying to the people on the 19th degree, this means, this is the essence of the sublime faith which aspires to God alone and despises all the splendors and works of Lucifer. For to the 19th degree, this is a beautiful thing, and they don't quite understand the deep Luciferian doctrine yet. It doesn't say whether the 19th degree at this part, it doesn't say whether they despise the devil. But that's what this apocalypse means to them. To those who receive the 19th degree. But when they receive the higher degrees, it is more obscure. He goes on to say, the apocalypse indeed is a book as obscure as the Zohar. It is written higher, and goes on to say, it appeals to the intelligence of the initiated. So the higher initiate sees it for what it really is, according to them. This is what they believe. According to them, what it really is a book of knowledge of good and evil, and there's some references of Lucifer. That is what is heavily implied here, to the point where they couldn't possibly not be saying that, if you ask me. So absolutely, Masonry is satanic, in considering all religions and pagans, and how different pagans worshipped different gods, including Hades, including Typhon of Egypt. Okay? It is saying that you must also consider the Luciferian doctrine to reach the highest point of intellect. And by accepting this doctrine as truth, you are, by definition, a Satanist who reveres Satan to a certain degree. And of course, we see this when he says that he bears the light, and the way he describes Lucifer. Strange and mysterious name to give it to the spirit of darkness. Lucifer, the son of the morning. So when you truly use your critical thinking, you look up the words if you don't understand them, and you connect it with other parts of the book. I haven't even read all this book recently yet. It's a matter of time, but it makes it clear that Masonry is satanic. And thank you.